Hey guys, this is actually my second day in Singapore, and I know a lot of you don't know me. I'm not a YouTuber, but then I just thought that I will just kind of record my experience of moving to Singapore, especially the quarantine part. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who might be wondering about what the quarantine and the 21 day, now that it's 21 days, how that process would be and what are the procedures that would happen once you arrive at Changi airport. So I just thought I'll make a little video and show you guys the process as well. So this is my second day. I arrived yesterday. So I flew in from Bangalore. Our flight was from Delhi and I'm from Bangalore, so I flew in from Bangalore. The flight was really empty. There were it was a Dreamliner 787. It was Air India, but I think there was more crew than there were passengers, honestly. I think there were about 15 passengers in total. So the flight was really empty and was very comfortable in the airport. Like the process in India, at least, there were no procedures, no formalities, nothing whatsoever. The only thing is that you needed to have your PCR test done, and you needed to have the government, like the ICMR stamp with the QR code, so that anyone can actually scan your QR code and they can then see your results. Now that was what happened in the airport in India. Now in flight there was hardly much food. There was usually you have you have your non-veg or your veg, and then you have so many snacks and you have so many little cookies and everything, but you don't get any of that. You probably just get one water bottle. If you're flying an Indian carrier, then you get like achar or something like that, but that's about it. But the food was good. It's Air India, so the food was actually good, and because there was no one on the flight, it was a decent journey. No hiccups, nothing whatsoever. And my mom, she has severe arthritis, and she had good enough leg room and everything, so all that was amazing. So when we came to Singapore, once we landed, we actually had I had actually requested wheelchair assistance for my mom, and in Bangalore it was all smooth. But once we landed in Singapore, there was no wheelchair assistance. Steep staircase, and my mom did find it a little bit difficult to climb that, to go down. And then from there, it was like a 5-minute journey to the airport terminal. I think they had a separate airport terminal for the COVID passengers coming from, for the COVID formalities for the passengers who were coming from India. And then I'm gonna walk you through everything that happened in the airport all the way until the hotel in this video. So once we got out of the bus, I actually asked the airport staff, for a wheelchair, because I had actually requested for wheelchair assistance right when I booked my ticket. But then they were just like, it's only a little bit la, it's only like this much la, and they were just trying to be like, it's just a little bit and she doesn't really need a wheelchair. And honestly speaking, it was actually just a little bit, but it's just that my mom can't really stand. She has a severe arthritis, so she has a health problem, and she generally needs a wheelchair outside of her home. But then they didn't provide one, and then I could see that there were counters. It was not a lot to walk, but then some counters, they were taking a lot of time, and if you and then the priority of the staff was to actually focus on the COVID formalities rather than assisting passengers, I guess. So that was a little bit of a setback on the staff of Changi Airport. So if you need wheelchair or something like that, so just make sure that you actually get it. Or if you're a patient, or if you have a patient who absolutely needs a wheelchair, then this is something that you need to know. But in my case, my mom, she just has arthritis. She cannot stand or walk for long durations, but she can, I think for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, she can still manage. The max is 10 minutes, but more than that, it's not gonna happen. But if you are actually disabled, then this is something that you need to know. You need to make sure that you get the assistance that you require. Anyways, so once we went inside, there was a big hall, and all the staff were They were like, wearing their PPE kits and the visors, the face shields, the masks, the gloves, as though they were in a hospital or something. Like in India, even doctors who were actually treating COVID patients weren't so equipped. Anyways, all staff members were like that, and in the counters there were like glass panels, and then the staff was actually inside that asking you questions. It was like a glass. Some counters were glass and some of them were plastic, so that there was no contact, and there wasn't even a small window, so they were actually speaking in mics so that you can actually hear them. It was a little scary. It was a little funny actually. That much wasn't required because we were all obviously tested for COVID before we came. And then so as soon as we arrived in the hall, we were made to sit in chairs. Each of the chairs had numbers, so in front of the counter they were actually calling out the counter numbers with their mic. Your seat numbers with their mic, and then you would have to go there and then stand there and then do the whole thing. So the first thing that they would ask you is you have to do a health declaration form. You can actually do that. Before your journey. I didn't, so I had to sit there and I had to do the health declaration form right over there in front of them, which is okay. And then you also have to pay for your COVID test. So there were two tests. One is the PCR test, and there was another test called the ART test. So both of them combined together was $227. I think the PCR test was about $160 or $165, and the ART is whatever, $100 or something. So anyways, both of them together were $227, and then I had to pay $227 plus $227 for me and my mom. And then so I did this online. You can also do this before your journey. I just did that when we were waiting to be called out to our counters. So once your number is called out, you have to go to the counter. They're going to ask you if you have actually done your health declaration form, and you have to show them the email that you received once you finish the declaration. So it's not enough if you have the PDF, because I actually already filled it in right in front of them when I was waiting. So I had the PDF, the form which I had just submitted, but they were not accepting that. Instead, once you fill it, you get an email, and that's what they want. So it took me a little bit of time to get the email. I think about 5-10 minutes, 10 minutes or something. So I had to wait for that time. It's my bad actually. I should have actually done that before the journey, but I was moving countries and I didn't have time for all this. So yeah, they want that email, and you show them that email, and then after that they kind of guide you to the next counter. So the next thing that you have to do is your COVID test again, and there are about 3 or 4 counters, and then each counter. The problem over there was that there was no waiting, there was no seating area. So again, if you're disabled, I was carrying a lot of bags. There's no place to actually keep your bags. You have to carry all the bags with you from each counter to the next counter. I wasn't able to film this because that was everything was so strict, so I wasn't able to film it. But basically I was having a backpack, I was having a trolley bag, and I was having a handbag, and you basically had to carry all these luggages everywhere around. So that was the other thing, because I think it was COVID or something, they were keeping it very it was very minimalistic basically. So there were no chairs, and luckily when it was my mom's turn, there was nobody over there. So we just had to go in, and then they first do the ART test. I haven't actually done that before. It's kind of just like the ART test. They don't even go deep inside how they do the PCR test. They kind of it feels like they're just cleaning your nostrils. My mom actually thought that they were cleaning the nostrils first, both the sides, and after that they do the swab test, that is the throat and the nose. If you've done a PCR test, I don't really need to explain this to you. And once that is done, there's another waiting hall. You have to sit there again in your respective numbers which was allocated to you in the first counter. That way, you know, the system was very it was very logical and it was very systematic. So that was actually really good. So you had to sit in your counter number, and then whenever they call your counter number, you will be, I think your COVID report will be given to you, and then you have to collect it. And if you're negative, you're good to go. If you're positive, I don't know what they do. I think they take you to, I really don't know what they do in case you're positive. So I'm just talking about my experience, and in our experience, it was all negative. So you collect your COVID report, and then if that is negative, then you're good to go. So this is so funny, like, because this was a separate terminal. I mean, it's not really a terminal, it's just basically one little hall. And then it's your baggage. Then you're good to go, right? So you get out, and then you have your baggage, and this baggage, the place where you collect your baggage in airports. So this, for us, this was actually outside of the airport. This was like outside the airport. It's literally outside the airport. It's, you know, just below where the planes are parked, where the aircrafts are parked. And the funny thing is that so much discrimination, they wouldn't touch a luggage. Like okay, so there was a baggage screening counter, right? So you have to actually take your luggage, you have to identify your luggage, and then they're gonna ask you which one's yours. You have to be like, this is mine, that's mine, that's mine. So again, this is where I felt a little bit of discrimination again. I mean, it's COVID, so they're just doing the best they can not to spread anything. But then, you know, if somebody needs help carrying their luggage, I'm sure that they can, there's nothing wrong in helping them. And especially when you already just tested negative. Like, we had 2 tests done in the span of 2 days, and both of them came out negative. Anyways, so the baggage screening counter was actually outside of the airport, right below where the planes are docked. And basically you have to take your bags from somewhere, walk to the screening counter, put it inside while they scan your luggage, and then it comes out, and then you take it and they put it outside. Now the problem with me was because I was actually moving countries, I had a lot of luggage and I didn't have enough suitcases, so I had to pack my stuff in carton boxes. Actually, it's only one of the carton boxes that was really huge, so I not just had to lift. I don't have a problem lifting. Basically, I've kind of had a back injury recently because of all the moving and everything. I hurt my back. So I not only had to lift my luggage, but I kind of had to hold the carton box and then walk a distance to the screening or to the scanning counter. And then I had to take it and put it back down. And then do the same for both the luggages, me and my mom's. And then from there, the bus was waiting over there. And you also had to lift the bags and then put on the bus. No one's gonna help you. People saw that I was struggling with it because I couldn't lift anything. I actually hurt my back, right? And it wasn't a suitcase that I could drag. It was like a big carton box, and I had to like lift it, and nobody helped. Everyone were in their COVID uniforms. And generally in Singapore, I think people kind of help you, and they have if you're in trouble, you fall down, people actually come to you and help you like any other place. But over here, you know, they can't come, social distancing and all that, so there was no one to help, which is actually so stupid, because I don't know what would, like, I really don't know if you're actually disabled. Like, if my mom didn't have me, I don't know what would have happened. I kept asking them for help, I kept asking them for a wheelchair, they wouldn't give it to us. Anyways, that part was actually like so we got into the bus. It was a very long journey. I think this was the most troublesome after the lifting of the baggages. And then I kind of mentally prepared myself that when we reached the hotel, I also had to lift the suitcase. I mean, suitcases were okay, but the box to like, and then put it out and actually like, you know, put it in front of the lobby and do the whole scanning again, because generally in hotels they do the scanning again. I kind of mentally prepared myself, and I was really super pissed at that point, and I couldn't move my back and everything. So after like a 45-minute or 50-minute journey, we reached the airport. The name of our airport was Park Avenue. It's the room I'm currently staying in. I'm gonna show you guys footage tomorrow. This is the room. I'm actually staying in a suite, so we have the other side of the room as well. That's the bathroom, and that's the entrance of the room. I'll give you a detailed tour later on, but for the sake of this video, As soon as we reached the hotel, which was like a long 50-minute journey, and our energies, our hunger levels, everything was gone. Everything was like near zero. I was so pleased that the hotel staff actually like kind of helped us unload our luggage. That was like such a blessing. I mean, these are kind of things that we actually take for granted in India, but then they also, as soon as the bus stopped, they were like, stop, you guys just wait there. They came in, they sanitized all the baggage, and then they called us one by one. Since I was the first person, they called me to like take my baggage out and keep it near the door, so I did that, and then they actually unloaded it, and then they kept it aside, and then they got us inside. One of the hotel staff actually escorted us inside the hotel reception, where we had to do our check-in. So the hotel was awesome, except for two things, which I'm going to talk about soon. So during the check-in, they actually ask you for all your preferences. They ask you for your what kind of diet you like. So you can choose, basically you can choose between like halal, non-veg, veg, and a couple of other options, which I'm still kind of confused. I'm still learning. They ask you exactly what you want, and if you have like any so this hotel actually doesn't have any balcony, so if you're a smoker, then you can actually request for a hotel change, because another person actually did that. He asked for a smoking room and they didn't have, and then he actually had to go to another hotel. Now, as much as I wanted a balcony, I was really tired and I just wanted a bed to sleep in. And then they took us, someone escorted us to our, they didn't escort us, so basically they put us in our elevators, and then they said that our rooms are already unlocked, so the card that they gave us is only going to work for that particular floor. So if you're in floor number 9, it's only going to work for floor number 9, and it's only going to be a one-time use card, because you're going to be in quarantine, and then that's about it. And then we reached our room finally, and then when we reached our room, our dinner was just like a small bag of snacks, because we reached quite late and the cafe had closed. So it was basically just bread and banana and a Swiss roll, but that was really shit, and we got a juice packet. Really pathetic, but yeah, whatever. But the even more pathetic thing was that they gave us a terrible room. As you can see, this room is only suitable for someone who is probably just going to stay for the day. You are probably just gonna, if you're just gonna just take a shower and then like change your clothes and then head off to a meeting, that's it. You can only stay in this room for half a day. I don't know how in the world they gave us this room and expected us to stay there for 21 days. The first thing on our mind was food, so we just ate whatever was given to us happily, and then requested for a room change, because I told them that there was no place anywhere. So you saw the room, right? So basically this room, we didn't even have that much space. Probably that was like half of that space, and if all our luggage, there was no space for our luggage as well. I really don't know how anyone in their right minds could have given anybody that room. That was like probably their lowest level budget room. I requested for a room change. I said it's impossible for us to stay. My mom needs a place to sit, so please give us a room with a couch, because we're gonna spend time the day and we cannot sit on the bed all day long. And then that was okay. So as soon as I requested, the hotel staff was actually very nice enough to actually give us a good room. So in about 20 minutes, one of their guys came up and they asked us to move. I mean, they just escorted us to the lift, and then again the whole thing, they gave us the card, which was only a one-time use card, which was only accessible to that particular floor. And as usual, the card was already there, and we just had to open our doors, and voila, we got this room. And this is the summary of my experience of today's the second day. It's the first 2 days of my quarantine, and the check-in, and what kind of procedures happen at the airport, and what are kind of things you might actually want to know before traveling. So, to summarize, Pay for your, if you really don't want to waste time in the app. I didn't waste any time because we anyways had to do we had a lot of waiting, but that constantly I was on the phone trying to like do a payment. And since I came from abroad, you know, the international roaming, the SMS was coming like a little late. So if you want to avoid all that hassle, you got to do a couple of things. One thing is that fill in your health declaration form. You don't need to pay anything. You just need your IC number, or you just need your passport number, I guess, if you don't have an IC. And because currently they're only allowing PRs and citizens, so I'm sure if you're traveling you have IC number. So your health declaration form, and you have to pay for your test, your PCR and your ART test. And yeah, these are the two things that you have to do prior. That's about it. So I'm gonna actually leave the links of where you can do all these things. There's a website called Safe Travels Changi. I'm gonna leave the link below, and you can actually get these two things done beforehand itself. And also, if you are like disabled or something, then please try to find a way to get a wheelchair, because it's not really gonna happen if you just ask for them nicely. I don't know what you gotta do, but you need to know this. So I hope this video was informative for anybody who was coming in, and I'm not really used to making videos, so I hope this wasn't too long a yap for you guys. And I'll be updating you on how the experience in this hotel was in about a few days, because I'll give you a summary of the next couple of days in a few days. All right, then until then, see you. Bye bye.